No. When I think about it, Andre had a really good point last time, and it's like, yeah, they should have taken that plot where you get a bunch of adventurers, you bring them to the tournament, and they fight in this tournament, and you have everyone cameo in the tournament, so you don't have to fill in backstory, you don't have to give them weak or not as strong dialogue, and then you spin off into your other movies.
Yeah, but the only reason you can throw on Cabal and all these random dudes and whatnot characters.
No, they could have been in the tournament. They could have been on the boat.
They could have been a fake boat.
It could have been a blood sport montage of a.
Yeah, but this is like that's gonna be a 6-hour Zack Snyder movie if you do it that way.
No,
every character.
No, blood sports montages were not that long.
John wants also cameo of Schwarzenegger standing next to Stallone with their heads just nodding on the boat to signify, oh yeah,
they're in the new Mortal Kombat. You can play as Rambo,
I know, that's
Terminator.
why I said it.
They should have just went balls to the wall and thrown them in as well.
Everybody.
Yeah,
deep fakes, Stallone, yeah, all those. That should be the new. That should be the new Mortal Kombat. All those '80s icons mixed with the '90s.
John McClane.
But if they aren't in the cutscenes, they don't count. So as far as I'm concerned, if they're not in any cutscenes, they don't belong in the movie. So there you go, John. Anyways, welcome back to the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. As we're still talking about Mortal Kombat. So
I thought you were gonna say we're still in quarantine. God damn.
That's not true.
We still are.
Day 1402.
That's a given.
We haven't seen sunlight. I feel like Brendan Fraser in that Failure to Launch movie where we're just all in the stuck in a bunker somewhere or not.
Biodome.
Blast from the past.
I thought you were gonna say Biodome.
With Pauly Shore.
And Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin and Kylie Minogue.
Dude.
Brutal. Biodome. Blast from the Past. That was a good one with Christopher Walken. That had its moments. Yes, so welcome back again. I am Stupe, your host. Of course, I'm joined by the owners and proprietors of the Heroes World store in Markham/Unionville. That would be John and Andre. Please say hello to the people.
Hello,
people.
Folks.
And of course, we are joined by our fourth member of our adequate four. This would be the Prince of Mischief, Mr. Rob.
That's a great team. The adequate four.
I was going to say the subpar four.
No, we're adequate.
It's very much often how my wife refers to me. You're adequate. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. It's the best description to that because we're not the fantastic, but adequate, probably about right. Yeah, it's about par. So yes,
mediocre four would be a good title too.
mediocre four. We're above that. We're above that just slightly. So
the fine four. Fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
You get the double F, yeah. But mediocre four, you get the MF.
No. Adequate. There we go. Fine four, please. Okay. So, of course, if you're new to the show, this is a podcast that you can be found on various things, but we are having conversations that we would normally have in the comic book store. These are conversations that we're having about comics, movies, all that fun jazz, and we're recording it and sharing it with the world so you can hear it. So it gives you kind of that feeling of being in that store and being part of the conversation. So, and just eavesdropping to a bunch of guys randomly talking about stuff. So that is what we're here and why we're here for you. We are here to talk about a review today as DC has released one of their movies, their 41st movie, correct, of their animated originals. And then we're going to talk some more about the Falcon and Winter Soldier, or as well as the end credits would say, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And then we're going to finish off the podcast. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I quested the group before us today, the fine gentleman here, to watch Justice Society World War II, which is DC's, I guess, reboot again of their animated universe. I guess this is the reboot of their series again, because the last couple of Batman movies were in one type of pocket universe, and they did what was a Doomsday movie or to finish it off.
Aren't they all just standalones? Like they're kind of like
no. This is like a new continuity.
There's like an arc.
That's Superman that they dropped.
So if you're not aware,
isn't it an alternate timeline? This is the problem with this movie.
So
We
yeah,
actually-
so just so people are
No,
aware,
but the opening is in the same continuity as that Superman.
Oh,
Man
yes.
vs.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
so just so
and
people
one
are-
other one before that.
they've done when they did the Batman movie, they did kind of like a small mini arc where they all that storyline was together with Robin and Damian Wayne, because they all kind of had the same voice actors on that little bit of like a five movie run. And then this one is now a reset because the art is different, and they've reset because they have now added in Superman Man of Tomorrow, because Darren Criss is Superman in now both of these movies, and they're doing now a new mini arc with this new Superman voice and Matt Bomer as the Flash. So yeah, they're kind of just doing, I guess, changes because that's what they do. And because yeah, the last one was Batman and all that stuff with Bruce Greenwood, and with Batman with a combination of Jason O'Mara, and that was, I guess, Bad Blood, and that was Batman versus Robin, and then that was Batman, Son of Batman. So that was all kind of voices of people of Jason O'Mara, part of that whole Justice League war thing. So new arc, DC just does that what they do. But John, before we go on to our review of said movie, I'm gonna ask Rob to give us an unhelpful / helpful / review. Tell us your unhelpful, helpful synopsis of this movie without any positive or negative adjectives. Because you already know what's going on.
Rob's head's gonna explode.
I almost want to take it from Wikipedia. We find okay, so this movie is about the Flash. It is almost, I guess you could say, a companion piece to Flashpoint, in that the Flash is trying to help Superman. As John said, they've kind of never really met each other before in this modern version of the DC universe. And while he's trying to help Superman and save Superman from potentially being killed by Brainiac, he finds himself being thrust back into time, into World War II. I don't remember the exact date of which he finds himself, but at any rate, it's an unknown date during the World War II invasion in France, and he finds himself along with Jay Garrick, Hourman, Wonder Woman,
Hawkman.
Hawkman, yeah, and so the Justice Society essentially
Black
with
Canary.
Steve Trevor, Black Canaries in there, wearing the pretty nice wicked domino mask, and he finds himself a stranger in a strange land, so to speak, and is trying to understand what happened and how to get back. He is also perplexed by a reporter who is embedded with this team, who goes by the nickname of Shakespeare. And he tries to fight the evil Nazis while trying to figure out a way to get back to his own timeline.
Mm-hmm. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Rob. So as we go, that is our helpful review. So now we're going to go to full spoilers review of the movie, recap and thoughts. John, start us off with your thoughts of said movie, because again, this is far off, very different than anything else that DC's done in the last, I guess 8 movies. It's a new art style, as we mentioned. It's new voice actors.
Yeah, new voice cast. Yeah,
I think DC just tries to do new things all the time, which is great because it's not a shared universe. They just frankly just do whatever they want. So yes, John, tell us your thoughts on this movie, because it was an hour and a half ride.
And we're probably gonna delve deeper into maybe characters and all that kind of like nitpicky stuff. So I'll keep it kind of more broad. Caveat before I begin: the animated stuff is not really my thing. I haven't been following all of them. So take that into account as I talk about this. So this
just like
movie,
your taste in Nicolas Cage movies, not very deep. That's it. That's
yeah. I'm the surface guy, or whatever, But so this I'll use the chess metaphor. Like all the pieces are on the board for this to make it great. The animation is great. And it fits in the setting that they're doing it in. The voice acting, I think, is spectacular. Actually, I think it's really, really well done. And I do like the JSA, but something about it just doesn't quite get there. I don't know if it's the story. So I'm sure you guys will probably dive deeper into the plot because I was like, what the frig is going on? Like they kind of go a little too many directions. So Rob mentions that it's Flash is the star of the movie, but I feel like it's actually they go all over the place. Flash feels like the star of the movie at first, and then they do the dimension hop or whatever you want to call it, and then it feels like Wonder Woman is the star of the movie, and then towards the end it feels like Superman is made into this big deal. So I don't know if he's supposed to be the star. Like it's kind of like all over the place, and then they have like this weird I think the original concept of this, it was supposed to be some type of Wonder Woman TV show set in this era, but then they didn't at that time when they pitched it, Wonder Woman wasn't believed to be a bankable franchise, and then the movie comes out, so now they have to alter everything. So I feel like they just went too many different directions, and they should have either stuck with Wonder Woman being the star, because she clearly did I feel like she did most of the heavy lifting in this, especially action scene wise. But yeah, I don't know what about it just didn't connect for me. I think some people are reviewing a lot higher, so great for them. It's still fun to watch, especially if you don't know who this JSA is. You get all the characters, they get to do a little something, but for some reason it just kind of, I don't know if it never kind of like ramps up into something very exciting. It kind of just goes along at the same pace for the whole thing, and then just wraps up. So that's just my overall thoughts. Like, is it bad? No. Is it great? No. It's kind of just good for me. So,
did you watch an episode? Just a reminder, did you watch any episodes of Invincible?
Yep.
Did this feel like the same length as one episode of Invincible, or do you feel like it went by faster?
No, it feels longer. Like Invincible, I think Invincible is good. I would definitely rate Invincible higher than this. I haven't watched the finale or anything like that, but it does have a similar pace where it feels like you're getting a lot. So you're having a lot to digest. So maybe if I was in a better mood or more in the mood for animation, I would be like,
it's funny,
glued to my chair. But I feel like I would have split this up into three viewings, and I would have been much better.
I felt like watching this movie, it went by, the pace was faster than an episode of Invincible for me, because I watched it, I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. It went by, but when I watched the first episode of Invincible, I'm like, how much time is left? But I think it was also because it kept on fading, the Lord of the Rings thing or faded to black, and like it's over, and I'm like, nope, it's not.
Maybe like you guys can agree or not with me, the color palette or kind of setting it was just dark for the whole thing. I was like, does the sun come out in this alternate dimension or something like that? Like what's going on? Like maybe if because Invincible is very bright and colorful, and it has they interject some music. This one they did have, I thought they had a good soundtrack, but it's more of just like, like instrumentals in the background. So nothing kind of like pops and gets you rolling for it. So I don't know. Overall, my thoughts, but yeah, there's a lot of things to like about it, and I do hope that they continue with a lot of this cast. Like a lot of the voice cast, I did really like.
Okay, Rob, your thoughts?
I was cursing you, Stu, for making us. I watched this on Thursday night, and I was bored AF.
Wow.
First of all, I threw it on, and the animation style was like, oh my god, it's like Archer. And so all I wanted was to then go in instead and rewatch some Archer, because I was kind of waiting for Figgis and everybody else to show up and make me laugh, and this obviously doesn't happen. I found that when I said, in my helpful unhelpful synopsis, that it was kind of like a bit of a DNA cousin to Flashpoint, I really truly believe it was. So much so that we even had the evil Atlanteans trying to battle Wonder Woman. Now, I thought that this was an interesting take on Wonder Woman. It was voiced by Canadian actress Stana Katic from Castle fame. People remember that television show. And she was doing a rendition or a version of Gal Gadot. So much so that when you first meet Wonder Woman, they take like the first 3 tones or bars of the movie theme and kind of wove it into when you first meet her. Like they took a lot of inspiration and steps from the Wonder Woman franchise, put it in here. I thought the action scenes in this, admittedly, were pretty well done. It was very fast, and it was fluid. So I'll give it that. Probably my favorite moment was Flash.
Okay.
We'll
talk about that.
but it was for me overall, like I agree with John. Like this is again, it's one of these things where it's very gray. The palette is very gray. It's
World War II.
dark.
Yes.
It's World War II, and I didn't really understand what was the whole point of this. Like, what was the point of this whole entire story? Well, I mean, there are a lot of people who enjoy this movie, and I'm really happy for them. I just wasn't one of them. I found it to be a slog, and I'm really glad that you actually brought up Invincible, because I watched the finale of Invincible this week, and it was, for me, heads and tails way better than this movie was. And even if you say, okay, well, the movie is 90 minutes, Invincible, I'll take even the last week's episode of Invincible. If I put those two together as a 2-hour,
Yeah, but that's the
movie.
penultimate and finale. I'm talking about the middle of Invincible, episode like 4.
If this is just an
going,
establishing movie.
Like if you watched episode 4 of Invincible, which we talked, that's when we were like, oh
yeah, it was a bit of a drag.
You're not asking the penultimate version of the movie, like the cartoon show. Like, yeah.
I also found that at the beginning, when Flash first meets Superman, I found that the voice acting was very similar. Like I was to the point where I was like, is it one guy voicing both of these characters? Like, they all kind of sounded very similar. Yeah. The person who voiced Jay Garrick as Armin Taylor didn't have. I know that in this time in World War II, Jay Garrick's not supposed to be the seasoned Jay Garrick, but he sounded not too dissimilar to what Matt Bomer did on The Flash. Matt Bomer's done a lot of voice acting for DC projects. He's probably the one who has some history doing characters, who, like, the one actor in this movie.
So being in Doom Patrol, being a voice actor.
Well, that's right. Yeah, as Negative Man, right? So overall, it just wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I found it. I wasted 90 minutes. I would not have watched this for any purpose. Like, nothing about this would have intrigued me enough to say, oh, it's something I tickles my fancy, I'm going to watch, even if it was on Netflix.
What if you didn't know what the Speed Force was and you needed the Speed Force?
No, but this is the problem, though, is that, okay, so, again, we're going with spoilers. Brainiac, which is a weird version of Brainiac, is trying to kill Superman, fires off this bullet. The Flash catches it, and it causes him to go back. And now that part, kind of seeing him fly through, that was cool. He can't seem to get back on his own. And then Jay Garrick, who is not as fast as Barry Allen, is able to then, like, at the very end of the movie, they're able to start running fast enough to get in, and then he pushes him, which is, you actually saw that from the Flash television series, right? I think it was like in episode 3 or season 3. So I was just like, wait a minute. If I was Barry Allen and I landed in this mysterious area, I'd be like, I'm out of here. And I would have run back. It just
would you prefer some type of slingshot maneuver where they, like, spin around and he, like, flings them in?
I don't know. Put rockets on roller skates and have them go really fast. I don't know. And then
don't steal the ideas from Fast 10, okay? That's the next thing where Tyrese is like, I got roller skates with rockets on them. Like, leave Tyrese alone.
The whole idea of Superman being embedded as a journalist, and him saying that his parents had died in a car crash, and he's really kind of viewing humanity through the lens of a camera, was an interesting take. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then he turns out to be the hero that we all thought. I'm a big Dr. Fate stan. I would have liked to have seen more of Dr. Fate. Listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's out there. If people want, it's like John said, there's a lot of people who are reviewing it, giving it good marks and good reviews. And I'm happy that people are enjoying it. I'm sure that you, maybe even Andre, enjoyed it quite. It just wasn't for me. I would have rather spent my time, I don't know,
watching Mortal Kombat.
Picking my eyebrows. I don't know.
You would rather watch Mortal Kombat. Let the record state. Andre, go for it.
Yeah. So I think I probably hadn't known that this movie was coming out. Like John, I don't follow all of the DC animation stuff. So there's a couple things that I found were pleasantly, surprising of it. I really did like the animation style. And I did like just how everything was kind of outlined in black, and the heroes look good. Yep. I'm going to disagree with you guys saying that the color palette was too dark. The opening of the movie with Superman and Brainiac and the picnic scene and stuff, that's bright. And then you're back in time to the darkest point in human history. So I don't know why you would expect it to have been anything else. tonally it was the correct color palette. I did enjoy the movie. I thought, like John said, the voice acting was good. I like the characters in the movie, but there's a lot of flaws in this if it's a reboot and a restart. So first of all, it we're watching a JSA movie, but then it starts with Flash and Superman. So I was like, what's going on? That first, little bit confused on it. The MacGuffin or the way to get Flash back there was just really, really dumb. Like just absolutely dumb. So like him grabbing a kryptonite bullet, like I don't know how that has anything to do with anything. I guess you just need a way, but come on, there's smarter things that they could have done. When you do get back in time, or on this parallel planet, whatever, Earth One they end up calling it, it is cool because they do give you an introduction to each of these characters and what they're doing, and that they're fighting top secret in World War II and stuff like that. And you do get an intro. Hey, this is Carter Hall. He's this person. He's reincarnated Egyptian god. Here's Hourman. He's created a formula and stuff like that. Unfortunately, for me, if this is reestablishing stuff, that's all you get. They expect you to have knowledge going in, because if you haven't seen Wonder Woman or anything like that, they're wanting you to do your homework, or they're expecting the audience to know. You can't go into this movie cold, and if you do, it is a Wonder Woman story. Like, you might as well have not had anybody else, during those battles.
Yeah, that's my point. I'm like, I would rather just watch it just Wonder Woman.
Get
rid of the other guy.
And it's not to say that it's bad, but if you had taken out, she's the only character that had character development, and that was just because Steve kept trying to marry her. This really could have used.
Well, Black Canary had something, but that was it.
You're right, but Black Canary's moment comes at the end, but we don't know anything about who Dina Lance is. We don't know. We know she has power, but we don't know how she can acrobat off of a giant squid, which was a great scene, by the way. Like, the fighting scenes in this, amazing. The animation, amazing. Like, I think this is, like John says, it's mediocre. It's run of the mill. It's better than mediocre. But in order for this to, elevate, it needed to be maybe episodic, because ultimately, what was the point of this hour and a half? They don't stop the war. They don't stop Aquaman. Flash gets back, and they don't form the Justice League. So we watch an hour and a half. It doesn't say, if it said end of part 1, I'd be like, okay, cool, let's get to part 2.
There's like no stakes, right? You don't even care if the JSA dies. Kind of, you're like, oh, they could all die.
Well, no, I wanted Flash to go back, and I wanted to see the JSA go back to end the war, right? Like it's one of these things that maybe part 1 of 3, and just like that Mortal Kombat movie, I don't know if I would tune in for the next part. And while I did enjoy what I watched, like John says, partway through when they switch and they're like, "Oh, you got to Atlantis," and Aquaman says, "Hail Hitler," and I'm like, wait, what's going on? And
do they establish how that guy is controlling Aquaman?
No,
I don't know if I missed that or not.
Maxwell Lord? Like, I don't know who that was. like at first, when I first saw him, I'm like, wait, they're putting Namor in Atlantis? I'm like, wait. And then they go, "Oh, our king," and then it's Aquaman. I'm like, oh, okay. And listen, Aquaman is very cool. He's got the trident. He's spinning the fight scene. This movie, like, you felt those punches. Rob, I don't know how you could say you were bored. Like, this was like an action slugfest throughout the whole thing.
Rob is not a fan of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which this tried to basically copy as much as they could.
Wait a minute, I never said that. I am a fan of Raiders of the Lost
Ark. He told me already, guys. I hate it. So, like, this is the thing. Like,
I don't rip your heart out and watch it.
Where is Harrison Ford? As he mentioned, is like, I need a guy to just mumble in the background. So, like, the beginning of this movie alone, Andre, to your point, like, it showed when the Roosevelt was like, "Oh, Hitler's going around stealing secret, like, magical weapons." I was like, whoa, like, even the whole beginning of this trailer, it was like 1940s like stuff. I was like, what is happening? Like, I dug all of that stuff when they were like trying to do that type of, trying to emulate as much as that style of that movie of that time period. So it was trying to say, you know, we're kind of trying to make our own Indiana Jones style thing, and we have to stop Hitler from taking these magical, you know, equipment and magical things. But yeah, to point, I believe he was mind controlled because there was something in his trident. That's what it was, right? Like,
Oh yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah. They break
was-
the trident and it
it
breaks.
was a magical. It was something imbued
you're right.
in his trident that
No,
once
it
they
wasn't,
destroyed-
bro.
Once they
No,
destroyed
yeah.
the trident, he was free.
It's what it's
No,
what
the
frees him,
trident
though.
is what freed him because the energy. But if you think about it, that guy touched Wonder Woman's shoulder and mind controlled Wonder Woman, and he didn't have
No.
the trident, right? So this guy, like I said, I think they expect you to be like, oh, that's just Maxwell Lord, he crashed or whatever, right? So, anyways,
It's not explained.
it's not explained, and so I think this movie, maybe it would have been like, on the surface, I was looking at it and going, hey, it's a cool introduction to the JSA. I think maybe I hate to say it, but maybe young people, like I was like, oh, maybe I should show this to my nephew because the Flash does cool things. They'll learn about maybe new superheroes. And then they go and kill Hawkman and stuff, and there's people dying. I'm like, oh, this might be a little bit, you know, dark for a 6 and a 9-year-old, you know.
But the reincarnation, he doesn't really die. He comes back. So it's like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
It's like,
but he's still, Lenny, he's
Yeah, but
still
you gotta wait 35 years for him to come back.
Yeah. So, you know, but
Yeah,
but
true.
speaking of that, like maybe that should have been the whole time travel element of this show. Forget the Superman and Flash thing.
Mhm.
What if you start this movie with the JSA, he dies at the end, and then the same threat comes, and that Carter Hall goes, I've got to bring together a speedster, a superhuman, and he forms the League, because I got the sense that this was just a way for Flash to say we have to have a league of our own.
Yep.
And they've changed everything. But I really feel that the Flash did not need to be back there.
No, it could have just been set in the 1940s.
And I think, so I don't know, like the movie's called Justice Society World War III or World War II, sorry.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect for Superman and Brainiac and Flash to be in there. So I didn't need them. And I,
to be fair, wait a second. To be fair, when I watched this movie and I saw that when it was Roosevelt and Steve Trevor, like, we got to be ourselves in the war, I'm like, wait a second, that's not how it worked. And it's like, we got to bring our team. So I knew already there was something up. And by the time when they got to the point where like, oh, this is a different reality, and the things started clicking, I'm like, oh, this is Earth 1. I'm like, okay, then fine. Everything else is a wash. It didn't matter anymore once they established this is an alternate reality, a different Earth. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, but they didn't establish that till well into it when Flash.
Yeah, by the end.
realizes
But
it,
like the clues were there. The clues and things were there if you were paying attention. So it was like, okay, that's fine. This is fine. It doesn't matter. But yeah, like to your point, I thought I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fine. Like it had its moments, and I enjoyed the characters. Just getting an Hourman. Like I never thought I'd see Hourman, period. He's not the most successful or most interesting character. He's very of that time period of like, oh, superpowers, but only an hour. He seems like a character that would be in the Marvel universe, not the DC universe, because everyone's so OP in the DC universe. He's like, you know, so it was nice to see Hourman, even though, and I enjoyed a few points, but I'll get to that in a second. Andre, when they got to that reveal, were you like, okay, carry on, or were you just like, this is just, you know, would you, in your terms, lazy writing?
I guess I was expecting more when they got the reveal, because I did enjoy the whole point where Jay Garrick and Hourman were talking about paradoxes and he won't exist. But once he figures out that it's a different Earth, I was expecting Flash to go balls to the wall. Okay, I can do whatever I want. It's not going to affect anything. And I think I would have enjoyed that. I do want to say one thing that did stick with me, and I think it's definitely a product of the times and where we are legitimately today. And I don't know if I would have said this or even thought this if this movie came out 5, 7, 10 years ago or whatever. But the movie starts off, and it's got the picnic, and you see Iris, who I guess is taken more from the TV show Iris, because the original Iris is not a person of color.
Yep.
But this movie had one person of color in it, and that was then. And I guess what I'm saying is that they go to a different world, an Earth 1 world, and yet they didn't include people of color in the background. They didn't include people of color in the war. You know, like there was soldiers of different ethnicities. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's 2021, guys. You know, you could have background characters. So just the fact that they decided that, or they were so absent-minded enough to be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna create a whole new different world, and there's gonna be no people of color in it, anyways, right? I'm like, yo, that's
Wasn't what
ridiculous.
Hawkman was Egyptian though?
Oh, did he? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
he
when
was
he
Egyptian.
took off his
Yeah.
They
That's
did
what
say
I'm saying.
he's
Like
Egyptian, yes.
Yeah.
he
But
was
one
an Egyptian. One. So that's what I'm saying.
No,
one
I'm just
person of color,
yeah.
right? But that's what I'm saying. Like that type of stuff matters. I don't care if, like, dude, when they went and they were by the Ferris wheel and stuff like that, there was all those people and they were all white. And I'm like, okay, I get it that it's set in World War II, but you literally just made a fictitious World War II on an alternate world. You know, and even in our world, there would have been people that I'm just saying that's pretty, you know, I thought that was pretty pretty bad. You know, I'm not saying they needed to change the JSA and be like, oh no, we got to slap somebody, you know, in there for that. But I'm just saying, like, even in the background, or even a police officer couldn't have been, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, it just seems very tone deaf about it. And it goes to the whole thing of even creating fictitious worlds. They're not thinking of anybody and everybody. So I don't know. They're not gonna make me hate the movie or anything. Like I said, I did enjoy it, but I'm like, yeah, some of the stuff watching it didn't just gel. And I think there was missed opportunities. Like I said, with Flash, he should have been like, okay, I'm gung-ho. Let me tell you guys stuff or show you stuff, because this is not my world and I recognize that, you know.
I think to your point, Andre, at the end they established halfway during the movie that anytime him and Jay Garrick are together, it sucks their power away. So it was a nice way for them to depower.
Yeah, they're like, when I use the Speed Force, it weakens.
Yeah, like there's tapping from this. So there's only technically supposed to be one Flash in each universe, just because they're tapping in it. So again, it was a way to depower a god, because technically the Flash could basically stop the whole thing himself. So yes, that was.
I thought Wonder Woman could have, when you had that first amazing fight scene with Wonder Woman, I'm like, what can she not do? And then I didn't even mention this. They launch her out of the submarine.
Yes,
she fights underwater for a while. Then she fights Aquaman again, and she's not breathing. And I'm like, okay, this was clearly a Superman like thing, because like she literally gets all those rocks knocked on her. She doesn't have a rebreather or anything and stuff like that. So again, nitpicking little things, but if they are expecting us to take our knowledge of characters with us to these things, that ability, we've never seen Wonder Woman hold her breath indefinitely and stuff. So
well, I found that
no, go ahead, Rob.
Are we talking like worst moments or no?
Not yet. We have that. I normally ask. Is it correct?
Are you playing? Are you going to do that? Okay.
Are you new? Do we do this podcast?
No, sometimes you do. Sometimes.
Are you not following stuff, Rob?
Are you too busy scrolling on your computer right now on watching the unmentionables to understand what's happening right now on the podcast?
I'm watching Jupiter's Legacy. No.
Oh boy, anyways, I did find that, to Andre's point, that they added one person of color who who did play who's in the Mandalorian, of course, who played Dr. Fishing. So again, to your point, Andre, I think you could add a lot because it's an alternate universe. It would have just been nice to have just different people, because again, it would have been just another way for people to, as Easter eggs, and be like, oh, something's off in this.
We lost you,
Steve, you might cut it.
Oh,
yeah, it would be just interesting because again, it's an alternate universe, so people could figure it out. But it is what it is.
What did you guys think though about them doing this, like for Diana, for Wonder Woman, making her have this accent to mimic Gal Gadot? Like that's the first time we've seen that in animated form, even though Gal's been doing this since 2016, right? So
yeah, to be fair, this is the first time in any of the comic book movies where she's actually had an accent. Because anytime you just see Wonder Woman, she just sounds like a regular person.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this is the first time that they've made that.
I think in a way it's definitely reflecting the popularity of of Gal Gadot and doing it. I just felt that the person was almost too thick or too heavy at
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
But
I think it kind of
course-
faded. It kind of like was really thick at first, and then kind of like
Yeah, but that's because she probably forgot how thick she's pouring it on at the beginning. But I think truthfully, like she probably would have had something because of where Paradise Island is supposed to be in the fictitious world. Like she would have an accent. I don't think it took away, and I think they want people to think of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman when they watch this. Like they want to hit the positives of that character, right? So
Yeah, I want to do it just before we finish to get our thoughts. Shout out to Chris. God, I'm going to pronounce your name. Dinotopoulos, Canadian, another Torontonian. Did a really great job of trying to emulate Chris Pine and so
Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor, but also he's great in Silicon Valley if you haven't seen him, and everything else he does. But John, tell us your any other final thoughts or random thoughts before we go into our favorite and the worst part of the movie. Anyone else got some random thoughts?
Interesting is that there's no Batman, no reference to him, no.
I love that.
No nothing.
Actually.
Yeah.
I was happy.
So it's interesting that they're either stepping away from him or they're purposely holding him back. But it was interesting they didn't just throw Batman in there. Although I did feel Superman was just kind of thrown in there. It's kind of weird.
I think that was just established that it was a parallel universe and be like, well, you're supposed to be the same guy. It's like, oh, this is a parallel universe.
It's weird. I think they could have just done it without it. Like it's so weird.
It was just to say this isn't the past, this is the present. So just to have Superman there, just to establish that this is.
But when he shows up and he starts destroying the planes, I was like, it had no impact. You know what I mean? Like they didn't set anything up beforehand.
And you want to
it was weird.
John brings up a very good point. So at that point, Superman is not flying; he's literally jumping from plane to plane. So how did he get from Germany to the United States?
He must have snuck on the plane,
or France.
Catapult.
If he snuck on one of the planes, then he could have
snuck on one of the German super planes.
Yeah.
He had
and
the
then decided to not take them out from the inside. He decides to go outside.
Wait and see where they go.
He climbed up to the top and held on in the wind.
It's a demonstration of power.
He's like, I need a flight to New York. I'll wait till they get there because I don't know how to fly. I can only leap buildings.
I can only leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Yes, single bound. So he is OG Superman. He probably doesn't have all the rest of the powers. So that's what it is.
It was so cloudy in Europe. The sun couldn't get to him.
Yeah. It's called a travel agent. He's like, I got a flight, but you have to deal with some Nazis. I'll take whatever I can get. I have no options right now.
Yeah. As long as it's not that crazy Hindenburg.
So, and to your point, I loved Dr. Fate. I'm always down with Dr. Fate in anything. And it was nice to see that character, just the duality of what it is to be him and to be the code breaker. And then just in and out, and everyone's like, I know who this person is, and you're like, yes, that's it. So and him understanding the importance of Superman, and that's truly what, if you notice the trend for all these movies, is the importance on the Man of Steel rather than Batman, because I think DC went too far the other direction where they look at Batman as the Wolverine. It's like he must be part of everything. Batman just needs to be part of everything, every team, whether it's Justice League Dark, just throw him in for no reason. As opposed to really the powerhouse and the savior of all the DC universe is the star-spangled man with a plan, and that'd be Superman. So there we go. John, what was your favorite part of this movie outside of it ending?
Yeah, no. Like I said, like it just kept the same. Like I didn't get amped. Like the action, like you said, is good, but I didn't get amped up when it started to unfold on the screen. Yeah, I wasn't like, yeah, here we go. Like they're going out. But so my favorite stuff was like I said, I think this was engineered originally as a Wonder Woman series, and it really shows. So pretty much almost all the Wonder Woman action sequences and her getting to do stuff. So one of the early sequences is her, I think, trashing through the buildings and just defeating like tons and tons of Nazi soldiers. And I think there's one point where she takes a Nazi soldier and she bounces him off a wall and he bounces into another like a mob of soldiers. And I just thought that was hilarious. So I definitely would watch, like, if this came out as a shout outs to the Superman animated series that you like, Stu. If this was a 1940s Wonder Woman themed TV show, like I think it would have worked for sure.
Rob?
Favorite moment is, so literally this is me on the couch, right? Well, I was on my phone and I was watching it and I was like, damn you, Stu. Damn you. But then
bow
when the Flash, when he vibrates through, so Jay Garrick helps him vibrate through the floor, and he's there in Atlantis rather.
Yes, in Atlanta. Yes.
Yeah, Donald Glover's like, hey, come party.
Was he getting chicken wings? At the club, as his pepper wings with Lou Will. Yes.
So they're in Atlantis. They're stuck in and they got so duped. They're like, oh, come follow us, and then it's like, aha, you're in a force field, and they're like, oh man. But Jay Garrick,
and Flash just stands there like an idiot.
Yeah,
and like, Wonder Woman tries to run, and you're like, you're not the runner.
Yeah. So Jay Garrick vibrates Flash and he down into the next level, and this Atlantean who, for reasons I don't really understand, is still wearing a helmet with water.
Yeah.
Says, whoa, stop, Earthling or human dweller. And the Flash just goes and just like hammers this guy in the face like 80 times. That brought joy. I was like, yeah, this is the best part of the entire.
I won't tell you a thing. Okay, I'll tell you everything.
Yeah. And the guy's like that. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So that for me is my favorite part. I wish I could get that as like a GIF. Or a GIF, however you want to pronounce it, and attach it to my phone. So anytime Stu calls me, I'll just be.
Andre?
My favorite scene was when Black Canary was running up the Atlantean monster and using her sonic scream on it. I thought that was very well animated and stuff. I think these guys really, upped their game. It was very fluid. It was very mobile.
How they coordinate the action is definitely
it was,
on point.
It was very, very, very good. You don't see that well in a lot of North American animation stuff. So I think they really stepped it up.
Yeah, compared to some of the old Justice League, the OG Justice League cartoon show, which I love. But those fight sequences, basically Batman or Superman just punches the guy and they fly backwards, and that was pretty much the fight.
Yeah.
Or Green Lantern making a sphere. It's like, here you go, Green Lantern. You have all the power of it. Here's a ball. Here's a bunch of punching gloves. Like, yeah, here's a flattened platform that you can stand on and fly. I'm like, can you make something cooler, like a ship or like at least a lazy boy?
I think sometimes they would be shapes with spikes on them.
Yeah, everyone's going to be a ball with spikes on it. I'm like, freaking Jon Stewart knows how to make more than just a ball. Anyways, I digress. John, what is the worst part of this movie?
Worst part, I don't know. There's like some of the Speed Force things, like when they get the sub running again, Flash just kind of goes zzz, and then punches the engine, and then it just starts, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Electricity, man. They make electricity.
Brings Jay Garrick with him, and he's like, okay, I got an idea. We're gonna do this, and he just goes zzz, and then just goes, and then it goes. I'm like, yeah, some of that stuff was pretty lazy. And maybe the Steve Trevor thing was a little bit over the top with the "Will you marry me" thing. I know they had to establish it. I don't know if they had to establish it, but they wanted this romantic element to it. But I feel like they were definitely going like way over the top with it.
Okay, Rob.
Okay, so yeah, I was getting a bit nervous, starting to sweat there because I thought John was going to take my pick here. So just a few moments ago, we were saying that they were trying to establish that this Wonder Woman is very much like Gal Gadot's version in the DCU. The Gal Gadot version, though, has some form of humanity, and she has feelings and emotion for Steve Trevor. In this one, Steve Trevor keeps like trying to propose to her, and she's like, no, like that. Man is dying. He's on his last breath. He flips open this ring. He's like, will you? And she's like, oh, Steve. And then he goes to put the ring on, and he dies. Okay, fine. So she takes the ring, and she's sitting there, and she's holding it up, right? And she's got the ring, and she's sitting there, and she's looking. And then Flash comes over to talk to her, and she's like, here you go. Enjoy your time back. Live life to the fullest. I'm out. Like, I was just like, wait a minute. This guy has been sitting here trying to propose.
Don't be like me.
She kept Steve Trevor's compass in the movie. Like, she kept like the stupid little trinket.
Yeah, and then he proposes to her.
Did you want her to check his pulse first before, like, check his pulse?
Yeah, he was still potentially breathing.
Go.
She's like, that guy's dead. I'm out. No more ties. I'm free as a bird.
Not a big enough carrot for me. Here you go.
I know, that was a huge ring, and then she's like sitting here like looking at it longingly, and she's like, off you go. You can take it. And I was like, wow, like she's cold, man. Like she didn't even like put it in like her gauntlet or just say, oh, I'll always
Wear it as a necklace.
Yeah, I'll always cherish it. She was like, that was a huge rock. Listen, in the 1940s, that was probably 9 months worth of his salary.
Not 1940s. It's current day.
She flipped it off like it was something won at Chuck E. Cheese.
Spoils of war for.
Yeah, I was just
probably.
like, man.
To be fair, the jewels and the stuff she had on probably on the Amazonian like island probably dwarfs anything that any human
doesn't matter. I want Steve Trevor to come back in the next movie as the Spectre and be like,
where's my ring at?
Yeah.
How come you're not wearing the ring, Diana?
I know, right? Like not even for it. She didn't even put it on. Just was like, oh, that was nice.
Wear a chain around her neck for a little while.
Yeah. So that was the worst. She's the worst.
Andre?
I think for me the worst part of the movie was the Brainiac thing at the beginning. It just felt off. Brainiac looked too I don't want to use the word invalid, but what's when you're like decrepit and hunched over, and then he's like, I'm going to shoot this one bullet, and then the chariot spits out a gun, and then it has to power up. I'm like, yeah, that whole thing was lame. Didn't like
Superman
that
holding up a car. Put the car down, Superman.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And tentacles, metal tentacles were what was stopping Superman. He's like, I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, again, we don't know the level of power of this. If you didn't watch Superman of Tomorrow, again, that one, same type of thing. And you're lucky I didn't make you watch that one. It's still random happenstance of like Martian Manhunter shows up, Lobo shows up. I'm like, what is happening in this movie? It was really a mess because again, it was Darren Criss was trying to be the new Superman. He wasn't Superman, and then there was weird alien extraterrestrials showing up. It started off
okay.
It just really pivoted. They're like, we're just gonna try a bunch of random stuff.
But see, I think that's exactly it. It's like they have to decide who they're making these movies for, because if somebody doesn't know who Dr. Fate is, when Dr. Fate, shows up in Flash's thing and then shows up and then Hawkman says, oh, I knew this guy in the past. Hey, why don't you inform the audience? Say, oh, that is the helm of blah, blah, blah. It gives this guy X, Y, and Z. There's no explanation. And I don't know about you guys, is TV, like, are they doing this? Are people supposed to go and Wikipedia or Google stuff after they watch TV? Like, who was that guy? Because again, they've created a new version of that character. That's what gets me upset. It's like, you can Wikipedia all you want. You can Google search all you want, but it's going to give you either the comic book version or maybe the TV version. It's not going to talk about the version that we've seen. And I think that's what gets me the most upset. As a person who loves comics, I take my comic knowledge with me to any other form, be it a cartoon, a video game, or a movie. And then they deliver something to me that's totally different without justifying it. Right? So if you're asking me to rely on my knowledge from a certain source, well, then you better put that in your thing. Or if you don't want me to rely on that knowledge, then goddamn explain and represent what you're going for. Don't expect me to fill in the blanks, because my blanks are coming from a different source. And then you can pivot later and I'll be like, oh, well, that's clearly not Dr. Fate because they don't have X.
But maybe that's what we're 2021. Maybe that's it. You got a Wikipedia, or
you shouldn't have to.
Or I don't know. Maybe that's the way it is, though. You were on your phone watching this, Rob.
No, but I think
but we didn't leave Gremlins in 1984 and go to the library and go through the Dewey Decimal System.
No. I'm just saying, but maybe that's how media works now.
But you know what? I think this is just indicative of the rudderless ship that is the DC property, and this is just another example that there's no cohesion, there's no direction in which way they're going. Like it really kind of just encompasses, if you look back at all the movies and what they're doing in the future, I just feel like there's no.
Yeah, if this is a new trilogy or a new direction,
world,
then hopefully it has all the pieces lined up.
In the past DC movies, they would tag it with a big Elseworlds logo at the beginning, and you kind of knew, like, oh, this is not a main. Like, it just. I don't know. It starts to bug you after a while and you can't help but compare it to the Marvel properties, where it's all in a playground. They all interact. They're
Yeah,
all
but this
together.
isn't.
And so,
But that's the cinematic universe. I think the cartoon universe. I don't think you can necessarily, say the DC cartoon universe needs to be as
no. I
tight as the
agree.
MCU.
No, but
for
what I'm
sure.
saying
But
is this, right? But I was just essentially building up your argument that there was no direct. Like, we don't know. You're meant to do all these things to figure out, well, who are these people? Like, and I just feel that is representative of what is going
yeah.
on at DC right now.
No, I get you. But I think this is more of a writer's room problem for this particular movie, in that again, they start and they say, well, we want all of our viewers to have, if there's 5 levels of DC knowledge, they're probably saying, well, we need everybody to have knowledge level 2, because they should know, if this is a JSA team, who Dr. Fate is, or what Dr. Fate represents, or whatever. Because again, it's one line, or it's 2 lines of explanation from Hawkman. And maybe it's because the people who wrote it, they know what they're talking about, so they don't express it well on the field. So you could be right that the people all together don't know what they're doing enough, or they didn't give a proper mandate for, this is ground zero, day 1, we're explaining superheroes and who these characters are, or this is day 27 and we should expect them to at least know who the players are at a certain point, because we've established them in previous movies or whatever, right? So,
but remember, there is a large community on YouTube / them that do these, who is this character? So they're trying to get people to, who is Dr. Fate? They can do a full 2 minutes on the DC YouTube channel, which they have, who is this character? So you can Google it on their site, or there's other YouTube channels that go and talk about, the Easter eggs. So there's a large community, and they know this. So it's like, well, why do we have to explain everything when someone else will do it after the fact? Because
but that again, you don't control that information. Like,
yes.
Who is this Dr. Fate? Like, what is the secret identity of this particular Dr. Fate? I don't know, right? Like, Dr. Fate, there's many people who have worn that helmet. I don't know who this particular one was.
Or it might not even be important who that person is.
Yeah. So if somebody is telling doing that video, they'd have to research, and they could say, well, I think it's Dr. Fate, this, and this. So they could give you 3 choices. And again, they'll have to tell you based on, I'll give you Dr. Fate's powers based on the comic, based on Justice League Unlimited, and based on, whatever. But it might not hit.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to be right.
What these anime
have to be right, Andre. Like, people just put their stuff on YouTube all the time, and it doesn't have to be right. So
I get
put your interpretation, and that's fine. Like, again, this is why the community exists, and why YouTube, there's so many of these channels that are like 40 Easter eggs, 50 Easter eggs. Is it truly 40? Is it 50? Is it just 3? People are just putting their interpretations to get views, and that's, that is the thing, right? So, and even reviews, our reviews are fun and just off the cuff. It's not as from a film critic perspective, because if you wanted that, you could go on another channel or another podcast to do a very critical thought process of this film and the act and all that stuff. We're just goofing off.
We're just fanboys.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation. So again, there's people, some people just enjoy the banter we have, and thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz. But if you don't, there are, you can go to a 6-minute clip of a review of a movie, and you can go for it. So again, this is why there are so many options right now, and there are people that make their living right now who do Comics Explained or Heroes Explained, or else like you can do that now, where you can have that knowledge of comics and explain a storyline, because as we've discussed numerous times, this is just amalgamation of ideas from different comics and different things in this movie, as opposed to, if you watch Marvel Civil War, that's not Civil War. That's just the title of it. Or WandaVision. They've taken elements. And if you want to watch a channel that explains all of it, then you can do that in full detail. So to your point, they're always going to, whoever watches this will always have a thirst for knowledge and continue on and do other things. And that's fine. Before we go to the next thing, I just have one question, Andre. How do you get from universe to universe in the DC universe? Can you run through the Speed Force to get to another universe? Is that a thing? Has anyone the Flashes run through a parallel universe through the Speed Force? I thought Speed Force only goes back and forward in time.
No, the Speed Force does, because the Speed Force is universal in the multiverse, right?
So you can go through universe.
So if there's Earth 52 or whatever, that Barry Allen is still pulling from the Speed Force. It's almost like the
No,
Speed
but can
Force,
you get from universe to universe via the Speed Force?
it has been done before, yeah.
Okay, then that's all we need to know. It's
Yeah.
done before, so yeah, it's that whole bullet thing was not ideal, but the fact of the matter is it's been done in the comics, so we carry on.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, John, would you recommend anyone watch this movie?
Yeah, if you like the animated series and you like the stuff that they've been releasing, like if you like Superman Man for Tomorrow, or if you just want to know more about the JSA, you could definitely watch this. But if you're not really an animation guy like us, like if you haven't been following it, or like me, I guess, I don't know if you're gonna enjoy it. Shout outs to Liam McIntyre as Aquaman. I love him from Spartacus. So if he continues in the next thing as Aquaman, I'll definitely watch that because he has a wicked delivery of those kind of olden style way of talking or whatever. So
Yes, because he is the craft of that art. He's Australian. Good times.
Yeah.
Rob.
I wouldn't recommend somebody renting it. Unless you
watch it on
are
stream for free.
unless you are a completionist, if you want to buy it because you have all the DC animated movies, and then Godspeed, good luck, and enjoy it. I wouldn't recommend renting it. I think you know what, you wait. Wait 6 months until it's on. I don't know where it's going to end up in Canada, whether it's going to be a Netflix thing or something else, but it'll be somewhere. You're not missing out anything. You're literally, this is not something where it's like you have to see this. So just wait until it's somewhere to stream, and you can enjoy it on one of those days when you're just lying on the couch and you need to burn 90 minutes.
It is the best of this new stuff that dropped, I'd say, and it's only Superman.
Batman Soul of the Dragon is better than Soul of the Dragon.
No, Soul of the Dragon is not part of this, is it?
Well, it's the last 3 new movies that came out that's changed outside of Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which was the cap of all that other stuff.
Yeah,
has now been Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Then there's been this Elseworld, which is Batman Soul of the Dragon, and then this one, which is Justice League.
I would definitely choose Soul of the Dragon over this, but this is definitely better than that Superman.
Oh, that Superman's
I actually enjoyed this better than Soul of the Dragon.
Oh, okay. Andre,
I think I would highly recommend the movie actually, because it's got everything that people want. It's got action, it's got enough of a plot, and it isn't super deep. I think this is perfect for people that just want don't want to delve. Like, for us, we're knee deep in this stuff. We're shoulders deep into this stuff. So we're gonna have a different perspective. But I do think I'll show this to my nephews and they'll like it. I do think if you watched Wonder Woman, God, especially Wonder Woman 84, if you watched Wonder Woman 84 and rented that, hell yeah, you better rent this, because this is better.
This is probably the closest you're
still
gonna
better than 84.
This is
still
better than 84.
This is the closest you'll get to that first one. What was the first one called? Wonder Woman.
Just Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Was it just called Wonder Woman? Oh.
Just Wonder Woman. Yeah. It's a very good movie, and I think it's also like Stu said, when else are we gonna see the JSA? And this was really close to the JSA, and I do think while it didn't do them 100% justice, it was better than them just having a cameo appearance in something. Like, they were still front and center. You still got an idea of what they could do, like seeing Hourman and seeing Hawkman with the mace and stuff like that. It was good for that. And I do think, again, as for myself, I would say maybe don't rent it, just wait and buy it if you were going to spend that money anyways. So if it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, or HD, but who knows? But if you can't, I don't think it's a bad rental. Like, personally, again, enjoyed it better than that last Batman, enjoyed it better than Mortal Kombat, and enjoyed it better than Godzilla versus King Kong. So,
well, to be like, here's the thing: like, we haven't, to Andre, to your point, we haven't really seen a Justice Society anything, because the closest we ever got was that dual episode in Justice League Unlimited.
Yep.
When John Carter saw his heroes, which was basically an amalgam. It's Justice Society members, but they couldn't be called Justice Society, and it's like in that town where the heroes were, spoiler alert, not the heroes they're supposed to be. So that was the closest we've gotten. So, Rob, my question to you: Wonder Woman 84 or this movie? Which one are you going to watch again if you had to watch
man. I
This
have to
Wonder
watch
Woman
it.
is good.
If you had
her
to pick
costume
one,
is
who would you
good,
watch again?
her
Wonder Woman
character is
84
good.
or
Yeah.
this one?
Do I have to watch it in its
100%
entirety? Or
entirety.
can I
Yep.
fast forward to the
Nope.
good parts?
Nope, entirety.
If I have to watch it again,
God.
they're both brutal. I don't know. I guess whatever's shorter. This one is shorter, so I guess based on runtime, I'd watch this one.
Yeah,
But
it was based on runtime. Yeah, that other was almost 2 hours.
it was more than
Wonder
that.
Woman
It was
84
6 hours.
Almost 2 hours. Yeah, and I think we mentioned before. I loved. I just liked Jay Garrett and Hourman having every time they're like having those are the science guys. So it's like you're the science guys, and they would have that conversation. The relationship between those two guys who are scientists first and foremost, and be like, "What do you guys think about?" And then having that was super fun. So I enjoyed that balance where they had everyone. It was like baseball. They had the people segmented off. It was like Canary and Hawkman doing their thing, and there was Jay Garrick. And then Wonder Woman being awesome. So you could just stick the Flash with her and you're like, fine, who cares? So it was fun to just see the dynamic of that because we more scientists. It's good for that. Okay. As we jump off to our next point, and I would recommend to everyone here, watch it. If you can't pay for it, fine, don't pay for it. Wait till it gets free on streaming and do your thing. So, but it is worth a fun watch. Way better than Superman Man of Tomorrow.
Superman Soul of the Dragon.
Soul of the Dragon.
That's a different movie.
Superman Soul of the Dragon. I watched that one. Batman Soul of the Dragon. I still like too. So to the point, it's like everything is. I love animated stuff. So Andre and me are always going to be biased to animation. So as we jump forward, we are going to discuss, as we're still buzzing from all the news from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, we are going to briefly, as a group, talk about our favorite Captain America moment. So I'm going to go to the panel right now and go one by one for everyone to tell us your favorite Captain America. But the caveat for this Captain America moment in comics is that it has to be either Sam Wilson, has to be either Bucky or John Walker. So our favorite moment, which ties in the TV show, our favorite Captain America moment that isn't Steve Rogers. So John, you're first. Why don't you tell us, so also people can, maybe check out that comic as they're still jonesing for more, something to keep you busy between now and when Loki comes out. So John, what is your cool moment that's Captain America?
You definitely have to read Winter Soldier if you haven't read that. But my moment is kind of goofy. I go back, like I said, I grew up on the John Walker Captain America. So this is available, and actually Marvel's reprinting this. It's now called Captain America Epic Collection Captain. And one of the issues, so John Walker was really kind of crazy off the chain back in the day. So I'm actually surprised a lot of these comics. So back to Captain America issue 347. What happens is before this, the John Walker parents get outed by these two characters, left winger and right winger or something like that. And the Watchdogs capture John Walker and murder his parents, and he goes berserk and kills all these Watchdog guys. And then this issue is where, and I had these issues when I was a kid, so it's kind of whack that my first experience with Captain America is he's like this crazy dude. So he kind of goes back and he wants revenge on those two guys, these two other guys with super soldier serum or whatever. And he goes to find their parents or whatever, and he basically tells them, next time I see your son, they're a dead man. So it's really weird and out of character for Captain America. And then he eventually confronts them in this construction site, and he kicks the crap out of them and then leaves them dangling upside down, and it's ambiguous whether they die or not. So he leaves all the gasoline and stuff, and they have these weird pyro torches. I don't know if you can see it in the picture there. They're these little fire torches, and he just kind of leaves them upside down. And leaves a torch within reach for them to try and cut themselves down, and then it just explodes. So this, I remember this from my childhood. So it's really whack that this was the Captain America that was in effect when I was a kid. So I just thought that was almost like a humorous step into time. So I don't know why this type of Captain America appealed to me. Maybe it was because it was basically, he was just a giant muscular dude fighting other giant muscular dudes. So maybe as a kid that just was like, oh yeah, just big guys fighting. So I don't know. It's just a funny moment.
Crazy.
A lot of stuff happens in this. Steve Rogers is in this as well as Battlestar Lamar.
And then there's the costume, the dark costume, which is now
So Steve Rogers is the one running around in the U.S. agent costume in this one, and it's actually John Walker is in the Captain America costume.
Awesome. That's a good
so,
call
yeah.
out. Rob, what do you got for us?
Well, so it's kind of funny. I have this one comic and I was going to pull it out of my collection. And then I was like, I don't know if it really counts or not, but I you know what? Screw it. I don't give a shit. It was Captain America 344. It was published in August of 1988.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hold up the photo of the, now this is, I was like, oh, that's John Walker as U.S. agent, but it's not. It's actually Steve Rogers as the captain because that's how he's referred to.
Yeah.
But it's called The Captain versus the Deadliest Snake of All, which was Ronald Reagan. And this is all about how like Copperhead and they were able to introduce poison into the water. And for me, it was kind of funny because I was like, it's very political, right? They were essentially calling Ronald Reagan the worst snake of all time, right? So if you're into politics back then or not, but when I started flipping through the issue, I was like, oh, like John Walker and Battlestar aren't really like, they kind of are just like a D story. They kind of like, hey, we should go get these guys. And that was about it. So it doesn't really count, but I just really like the cover. So shut up. And there you go. That's my.
So you choose the guy you thought was John Walker.
I did. Well, because it's been so long.
Captain America.
Yeah. It's actually Steve Rogers, right? But I would recommend this. Listen, and all jokes aside, I got this for my birthday from the family, and they picked it up from Heroes World. So I think that there's a lot of people who have, like, when the Winter Soldier movie came out, not many people were kind of really looking to get into what the whole story was. I feel like there's a lot more buzz on the internet now. So I'd recommend this omnibus. I got it from my family picked it up from the store. So if you get a chance, call Heroes World and pick up this omnibus. And that was the
I had to ship that big mamma jamma.
And that's how it and that kind of gives you a bit of that lays a foundation for the movie, and then obviously this TV show. So I would recommend that.
Awesome. Andre?
All right. Do we got share screen enabled here? Because I don't have.
You're asking now, halfway during. You've asked this before. Jeez. Yes, it's enabled.
All right. So let's see if I can do this.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
And I was actually looking at. We have this collection in stock at the store. I was looking at it as potential.
It says the
my
host
choice.
Disabled participant screen share. Okay. Anyways, so my moment is a very cool moment. Came out, I think, in 2015. So this is just after Sam Wilson has taken on the mantle of Captain America.
I think, Andre, you try again.
Try again? Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where he goes after Frank Castle. And it's a really, really cool fight. Basically, the Punisher is going after a U.S. senator who's basically done chemical warfare against the United States and stuff. And basically the Punisher has captured this guy, forced a confession out of him. So bring in the Marines and then Sam Wilson. And it's actually, if I can try and pull up this one other image, it's really cool because what we got in Winter Soldier is we got some great moments from Sam Wilson. Right? Like we got some moments with him really giving those speeches and really talking about what it is to be, not only a hero, but to be, to embody the symbol. And if I can pull this up here, this is my favorite moment here from Sam Wilson. And he says to Frank Castle, he says, this is during the fight. And this fight takes place in Arlington Cemetery, and then it goes on to the Washington Monument and stuff. So it's all about symbols. But listen to what Sam says to the Punisher. He says, "You think you've offered something to anyone but yourself, inciting violence, killing without due process, trial, or blood, Frank? You're a menace, and it's over. That some called you a hero insults me." And this is him fighting Frank and beating him down. And ultimately, Frank knows that he's outnumbered, he's outgunned, he's beat, but he gives the hero the ultimatum. Frank's got one grenade left, and he's like, okay, you knock me out, you're going to kill me. And I don't think you're going to kill me because he's holding this grenade. But he ends up giving Sam Wilson the evidence from that senator. So he's like, you do the right things. You can take this evidence in, or you can take me in, and if you take me in, I'm dying. And he's like, I don't think you're a killer. So very cool moment, very great. Again, but 7 years ago, 2015, or no, 6 years ago, again, this is the same Sam Wilson we're seeing on the screen. So that moment was fantastic. If you're interested in picking that up, that's in Punisher, I think Volume 3 from 2015. The trade paperback's called The Last Days. Very, very cool arc and
underrated Punisher arc.
Yeah,
Underrated
very
Punisher
underrated. Yeah.
And let's first say that all that image and everything belongs to Marvel. We're just using it for educational purposes. Please don't come after us and sue
critical.
us. We're using this as an analysis.
Criticism.
We're talking about it. So please, Marvel, don't come after us, and if don't sue us, because you own all of that. We don't own any of the materials.
We're promoting it.
Especially when all the image rights belong to them and yada yada yada. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. So hopefully that gets everyone to fill in the gaps and keep the cravings going on, because we are weeks away from the next Marvel show. So we're gonna hopefully that'll keep you at bay for the time being. So as we have talked about our love for Baron Zemo. My next question is not a surprise to anyone out there in the podcast. If you watched the review, you know that I was very disappointed that they didn't do anything with him at the end. They just saw him very happy in his jail cell as more super soldiers were murdered. So I have a question for the panel. Allegedly. Well, the butler did it. Figgis did it. Which
the butler did it with a bomb in the car.
Yeah.
It was like a massive clue game.
I asked everyone to.
It's smoke and mirrors. At the end of Eraser, Arnold Schwarzenegger blows up himself and Vanessa Williams, but they actually drop into the sewer below the car. So might have happened.
Man, we can talk about Eraser another day. That movie got so much. I think it got some bad play because of an incident that happened that delayed the movie being released, and they had to change stuff. It was not great. But I did ask everyone on the panel to take some time to think about Baron Zemo. I think Daniel Bruhl is a national treasure. So I wanted everyone to pitch their TV show or concept of a Zemo show, because that is clearly what needs to be done. So John,
what an idiot.
My copy of Eraser on Laserdisc. Anyways, yeah. So my
tell me your romantic comedy show with Baron Zemo. Let me know what.
All right, so it's a romantic comedy where a rich dude gives up all his possessions.
Is it like the Christmas Prince? Can we get Tim on board on this? Is like the Christmas
the
Prince
Hallmark
universe,
and it's going to tie into all the other Marvel rom-com launches that I've got in the works. So definitely call me up if you want to see the Marvel rom-com universe. The MCU rom-com universe.
The MCU yes.
Yeah. So Baron Zemo, he's got a lot of contacts, a lot of things. He's locked up right now. So my idea was that he's got all this knowledge, and maybe he wants to try and turn a new leaf. So he's going to start snitching, but he only wants to work with one guy, and that one guy is John Walker. So he'll give information and feed it to John Walker, and they'll go and take down these bad guys. And that would be my vehicle, and I would call it I don't know, like the villains list or something like that.
So basically,
you've seen on Disney Plus the villains list.
You mean the Blacklist with James Spader?
No, it's the villains list. This is
that the Blacklist?
Different show. This is a completely.
Oh, it's a different show. It's a different show, it's a different show, but the same show. You want Baron Zemo to go around taking out the Blacklist with Captain America with him,
the villain list,
Nomad
with John Walker. Yes.
So your pitch is imagine the Blacklist, but with Baron Zemo as James Spader.
This is a completely new concept, Stu. Come on,
brand new concept. Okay,
and you have the unlikely allies coming together. So we've already had the buddy cop, but now we have the two guys that shouldn't get along, getting along and doing it. So 48 hours version of the buddy scenario.
So is Zemo seeing Roxanne in his jail cell? How does this work?
He should definitely, yeah.
or maybe he's singing some other new song from Tigra or something, or Tigra. So anyways,
yeah.
All right, thank you, John, for your Neil Blomkamp idea of the Blacklist. Rob, what do you have for us?
Okay, guys. Okay, this is a Disney Plus television show. It's called Zemo Marry Me.
Okay. Is that like The Bachelor but with Zemo?
It's a reality show where single ladies compete for the affection of one Baron Zemo, But these ladies have to be willing to step up, not just for love, but for chaos. They have to be assassins like his butler was. So it is a reality show. It's a legit reality show, legit.
Yeah.
But you realize that he's actually sending them out to enact his revenge and to cause chaos within the markets to increase his wealth and global dominance. It's kind of, and it ends up being like, much like how WandaVision was. You're watching this show thinking it's something else, and then at the end you realize, oh, it's part of an overall, but it's housed in the bubble of a reality show called Zemo Marry Me.
So when like, who would be the women, like just all like,
oh, who gives a shit? Doesn't make a difference because they're all expendable. Because at the end of the day, he has to like get rid of them, or they failed their mission. They're done. There's no rose ceremony. It's just like
Madam Hydra and like, you know, all these.
A bullet to the head.
No, he's like, he sit there and he goes, you know, he's like, Sylvia, I'm sorry, there's no more chance of you to be a baroness. And then he hits a button and she falls into a pit. Doesn't matter.
Pit of lava.
A
pit of snakes.
Freaking laser beams. So yeah. So at any rate, it's a reality show. Zemo Marry Me, and I think it's brilliant.
I think I agree. Thank you for that, Rob. It's great times. Andre, what do you have for us? What's your Baron Zemo?
Where's Zemo from in the MCU?
Sokovia.
Sokovia.
Yeah.
All right. So
because the nation no longer exists.
Well, no, where was the
Avengers, Ultron, Sokovia.
Yeah, in Ultron, but there was also, they went to, was it Latvia? Not Latveria, right?
You mean where did they went?
In Winter Soldier, in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where was that monument?
So it's Sokovia.
It's Sokovia, but there's nobody there?
No,
There's
because
like
remember the countries around it ate up Sokovia because the government toppled because of the events of Ultron. So they basically, in a seize of power, every country around it took land from
part
it.
of it. Oh,
and I imagine that a lot of that would be, now that they set that up, it'd be Doom took a lot of Sokovia in his name. So he probably just ate up a lot of that country.
Anyway, so my thing was the reality thing too. So we're all kind of on the same page. But I was gonna do
except for John.
An America's Got Talent or Sokovia's Got Talent, and he's the head judge, and he would just be basically trying to create a boy dance band, you know, in which he is, so that's it, and that'd be great.
This is a move.
Plus, you know, you could call it Zemo's Got Talent or Sokovia's Got Talent or whatever, and it would just be like America's Got Talent with different acts and stuff. But it's Zemo's got the golden buzzer, right? So.
That is interesting. I thought that you were gonna go like it was gonna be on a cross pollination, like Zemo World Travel, where it was gonna be on National Geographic, but all of a sudden it's actually a Marvel TV show in National Geographic where it goes around the world. Like, let me show you these animals. Meanwhile, he's there. He's like killing people in the background. It's like, we need to go to Australia to show these alligators. Well, he's there looking at alligators. Show. He's actually doing a mission. So every mission he goes to these countries, like because National Geographic has access to all these countries. He's like, we're gonna go here, and then all of a sudden murder people at the same time.
It's a cooking show, a baking show on Netflix, like Sugar Rush, where he just keeps saying it's not as good as Turkish Delight, and he just throws the baker's candies away. You've been eliminated. Or the other one I thought of was he is on. It's a small like 10-minute clip. He is on a Shark. Is it Shark Tank?
Yeah.
And he's pitching. He goes, my grandfather made this adhesive X back in the 60s, and I want to pitch it out for 10% of my company. And then Kevin Miller is like, it's crazy glue. And he's like, what is this crazy glue? So that would be mine.
Anyone have any other random Zemo ideas that you'd want from a TV show before we wrap things up? No one's got
death and destruction.
The obvious choice, of course, the Thunderbolts, where he has a team and he goes around doing things. But
that's just so obvious. We wanted to make it fun.
We knew not to do that one.
Yeah. Well, I figured that was the case, but I didn't want to say the obvious one is that that he just needs to be involved in that and sneakily doing things in the background. But I would also like just a show where it was the 5 years in prison. Like it's just like what's he do in the prison? It's like Like he
A
just
piece of
sits there,
chalk
like,
and he puts a day on.
yeah, it's like every episode's like him just dealing with stuff like a prison show where he's just chilling and it's like having these conversations or running his running his empire in jail, kind of like The Wire, where he's like telling his butler to do stuff for him and like clean the cars and like doing notes and stuff while still in prison. So that would
I
be
suspect he's not probably given access to a phone on the raft. It doesn't look like the type of facility.
well, he wasn't in the raft. He was in Germany. During
No, he was the
5 years.
rat. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant at the end.
Yes.
Of the
So
show. Okay.
during that 5 years in the
Right.
blip, I would have loved him just like
Right.
doing like in prison or like in Doctor Who, like him leaving prison and coming back while he's like doing stuff in between. It's like, yes, I was in prison the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Right.
bribing people to go in and out of the jail, just like Dr. River's song. Just like
Right.
she was always in jail, quote and unquote, in jail. So that would also be fun.
What
So,
about
okay.
like a trial on Wakanda of like his crimes and stuff, like a lawyer show, or a Mr. Belvedere like spinoff with the butler?
I don't think that guy could last more than 12 episodes. I think he's
John,
like
and we also saw he could
It would be
barely
a
shuffle on a
prequel.
plane. I don't think he
Yeah,
had
I
an
don't think-
episode to like move around because he could barely move from that to the cantina. So that'd be rough. Andre, as we wrap things up, we've got to our segment. I have spoken. So tell us the word. Tell us what we should check out at this standpoint.
All right. So I have spoken this week. Brand new comic from Marvel. Can we see it without the glare? It is Spider-Man Miles Morales number 25, first part of the Clone Saga. Yep. Can you see they are so proud they put it in big Clone Saga. Listen, these guys got some balls on them because the Spider-Man Clone Saga was one of the most controversial Clone Sagas or comic book storylines. Very confusing, very convoluted, very, shall we say, dividing. And they have revisited it now with Miles Morales. So this is the first part, just came out this Wednesday. But I have to say, this one so far starting head over heels better than the original Spider-Man Clone Saga. Cool thing with this one is if you have been following the Miles Morales Spider-Man storyline, they have mentioned clones before. He was cloned, I think, back in issue number 9. And a doctor has been pursuing Miles Morales, trying to get his DNA from, I think, issue 16 as well. So they didn't just pull this storyline out of thin air. It's got its roots and it's been building. But again, this is a great jumping on point because it's got some excellent art. Same creative team is doing the book, but they give you all the primer that you need to read this story going forward. So there is a clone of Miles Morales going around with knives and basically terrorizing Miles as part of Brooklyn. So of course, what happens when regular Miles go? They all fear him, and our regular friendly neighborhood Peter Parker shows up to go, okay, what's going on? Together, they track down and confront this clone, only to find out there is multiple clones and a epic battle ensues. Great book, great launch, first part of this storyline. So I think you guys should all check out Miles Morales number 25, the Clone Saga. Awesome wraparound cover, nice painted, and hopefully crossing my fingers that it ends as strong as it begins and we can say something positive about clones in comic books.
Well, I think, Andre, to your
Ben Riley or bust.
Ben Riley or bust to the moon. No, I want to say that like many things, it was critically panned, but has a cult following. So that Clone Saga, just like Blade Runner or like a certain Weezer album, which were named to be unnamed. There are a lot of things out the point when it came out and was underappreciated, and it just took some time for people like, oh, it's a gem. So whether it's the original Clone Saga, I had its moments. I enjoyed it when I was a kid, but now that I look back at it, I'm like, man, I really like it. So again, it's stuff that people didn't like at the moment, but that will be another day where we can talk about things that were critically panned. But you know, looking back at it 10 years later, we'll like, wow, that was amazing. I can't believe that happened. So there we go. So as we wrap things up, Andre, John, where can we find you guys on the internet and in the desert of the real?
Yeah, so online on the YouTube, the Instagram, Facebook, Heroes World Online. Lots of updates on there, and the website gets fed through there, Heroes World Online as well. If you're listening on audio, Heroes World Podcast on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. If you're on iTunes, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating. Helps us get in the algorithms and such and such. And thank you everybody for subscribing to the YouTube. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Andre?
And the store is still open for curbside, so you can give us a call or email or message us at any of our social medias there, and arrange for a curbside pickup. The store is located in Markham, Ontario, 8601 Warden Avenue. That's Warden and Highway 7. Lots of parking, and there's also other things in the plaza that you could use as an excuse to come kind of see us. There's a No Frills in the plaza, Shoppers Drug Mart, and McDonald's. So, tell the significant other you're just going for bread and milk, and then you can order up some comics, trade paperbacks, toys, Warhammer, board game, anything, and we'll get you hooked up for a nice curbside pickup to go with your essentials.
Awesome. Rob?
Yeah, just to kind of quickly piggyback off what Andre was saying, if you do happen to go up to the store and want to grab yourself some McDonald's, do yourself a favor and don't get the Western Quarter Pounder meal because it's not very good. You can find me online on Instagram at _905 as well. You can join John and I every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's at nighttime because John's not usually awake by 8 in the morning. On YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, but we are for the Heroes World Sidekick Show, and we're really excited. This month kicks off the month of May. I can't believe we're in May already, but it kicks off the month of Keanu Reeves. So tomorrow, I believe it's May 3rd tomorrow, we are going to rewatching and discussing the
Dracula?
1991
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
My Private Idaho. No, we are doing Point Break. So please definitely join us tomorrow as we discuss that. A lot of chat always happens in the YouTube channel. So even if you are watching on Facebook or Twitch, if you want, you can also join the stream through YouTube and comment. And next week we'll be doing Speed, John, but way to spoil things.
Can you let me know when you guys do Dangerous Liaisons? Let me know when you guys are on board with that Keanu.
Yeah, we'll be doing that on May 38th.
Or Parenthood. That's another good Keanu Reeves movie. There's some good ones in there. Let me know when you're involved in those ones.
Okay. So anyways, you can join us there tomorrow. Point Break, 1991, Patrick Swayze. It's amazing. So just watch it. It's streaming right now. If you're looking at this on Sunday night and you're like, that sounds like a lot of fun, it is currently streaming. I think, is it?
It's on Crave.
On Crave, I believe, right?
It's on Crave if you have the Stars extension.
Yeah. No, that's Disney Plus. So it's on Crave.
No, there's the Stars extension on the
on
Crave as well.
There's so many stars, we have no idea.
Yeah.
Right now, 4 stars on the screen. So yeah, join us tomorrow.
And don't watch the new Point Break. Not as good.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't if it says
not
2015
mistake it for the
brackets,
2015.
We gotta make the clarification because I'm like, oh, people are gonna watch. I'm like, no. Make sure you're watching the Keanu Reeves vehicle.
Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze,
where he plays a quarterback named Johnny Utah. Which at the point I was this close to buying a Johnny Utah.
I want one
jersey
too
a few years ago, and now I'm like, you know what? It might be time for me to buy a Johnny Utah jersey again. Get back.
Do you get the Johnny Utah jersey or do you get the Shane Falco jersey? I kind of want the Falco.
100%.
I don't want the Falco
because that's I don't even know if I can get the Falco jersey that's anywhere, but I know I can get the Johnny Utah jersey, and it would be available to me. Just like I would want the Ray Finkel Miami Dolphins jersey as my next. That's the next thing I want to buy, the Ray Finkel Miami Dolphins kicker.
But it's reversible.
Yeah. Touche. Yes, that'd be touche. So thank you all for joining us. As always, be safe out there. If you like what you see, the madness that is this, the adequate conversations that we're having, please like, subscribe, and share. Do what you can. And we'll see you all next week. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's another rando DC movie so I can make Rob suffer a bit more. But we shall. Or maybe, as we talk about that Superman movie, maybe,
Jupiter's Legacy.
Well, Rob should watch Superman Man of Tomorrow. So that will be, if somehow, some way, we'll talk about that one. So there we go. So yes, thank you for joining us. Be safe. Have a good one. See you all later. Rob?
Nanu.